Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Zara and today I am going to be doing a review of Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Now this is a romance book. I've not really had great experiences with romance books over the last couple of years, but this was a book that I came across on NetGalley and I thought I like the sound of the premise, so I thought I'd give it a go. I devoured it. I devoured it in a day, less than a day. I loved it. This is everything that I want in a romance book. Depth, layers, interesting characters, really kind of hard-hitting thematic work, and I just loved everything. Probably my favorite romance book. Let's just say it's my favorite romance book that I've ever read. I just loved everything about it. What did I love about it? I think the number one thing that I loved about this book was the anxiety and mental health representation. It felt very accurate and realistic that I just couldn't help but nod along to it as I was reading it. There are two characters that we follow, Jacob and Brianna, and they both kind of have things going on in their respective lives. I'm not going to actually talk about the plot because there's always the danger that I accidentally spoil something, and I think this is the sort of book that you should read while not really knowing too much. I mean, it's a romance book. You can pretty much predict any romance book, but this is one of those ones that I think just go into it not really knowing much about it. But we follow Jacob and Brianna. They're both in the medical field. They're both doctors working in essentially the equivalent of accident and emergency. And Jacob is high-functioning, anxious individual, and Brianna is going through a lot of personal issues with her brother, who is very ill. He has kidney issues, he's on dialysis, and they're both working at the same hospital, and it's essentially about their journey as they kind of become friends, but then there is this kind of fake dating element to it that gets thrown in. I don't typically like that trope, but I think it was really, really well done in this book. I really liked Brianna as a main character. I've pretty much hated every single female main character in a contemporary romance book. I think I've said this quite a few times now, but Brianna was really layered. She was just really lovely. Like, I would love to meet Brianna. She felt very relatable, and she was just kind of a ray of sunshine, and I just love that for her. But my favorite character was Jacob. I just connected with him in a way that I did not expect. I'm very fortunate that I've never really had kind of social anxiety, but I did develop it after I got long COVID last year, and thankfully managing it a lot better now and all of that. But there were so many things that happened in this book that made me think about experiences that I've had in the past year. And it was just very kind of refreshing how the author talked about social anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety attacks in a very kind of raw and unfiltered way. And I think anybody who suffers with that, but also is quite a high functioning individual in that it doesn't necessarily look like you have social anxiety, I think you will really identify with the character of Jacob and kind of how he approaches his life. One thing that I really identified with is how he talks about how, you know, he's obviously an introvert. I'm definitely an introvert, but how he talks about how he has to recharge after he's been around people, and how certain people drain him, how other people really kind of recharge his energy. And these were all things that I was just nodding along to, and I just really loved that it was handled in such a sensitive manner, because I've read books, fiction books, where anxiety kind of comes up. It's almost always glossed over and kind of talked about in this kind of very just kind of, I don't know, generic way. But in this, the author went into so much detail. I'm very curious as to whether she also has social anxiety, or if she knows somebody close to her who has social anxiety, because she must do, because of the amount of detail that she went into was just phenomenal, really, really, really good. The other thing that I really liked was the fact that this book was incredibly emotional. And there were actually parts of this book that if I didn't have a heart of stone, I probably would have cried. But it takes a lot for me to tear up when I read a book or consume any type of media or whatever. But there was one part in this book that just hit me right here. So if you're looking for also a bit of a gut punch, this one is definitely for you. Just kind of generally about Abby Jimenez's writing, she writes really well, like very kind of simple prose, flows really beautifully. The pacing was spot on, like she hit the marks in every single chapter. I love the dialogue, I love the banter, I love the kind of connection between Jacob and Brianna. I really like the secondary cast of characters as well. Like I think there was a really solid group of people surrounding our two main characters. I didn't actually realise she's written a lot of other books, and she actually wrote another book that follows Brianna's best friend, and so I am going to read that at some point because I think I'm going to really enjoy it as well. But you don't have to read that first before this by any means. I literally just picked this up because I saw it on NetGalley. But I'm now kind of curious about the surrounding characters and their backstories. That's not something that I typically like in my romance books, but because I liked all the characters in this story, I'm like, yes, I can definitely see myself doing that, which is very, very rare. In terms of what I didn't like about it, there was nothing. There was like literally nothing. I loved everything about the story. The themes that it tackled, the characters, the dialogue, the pacing, the writing, everything just worked. Like everything just worked. And I'm really, really keen to read more Abby Jimenez as a result. I think by the time this review is out, the book will be out. So if you are a romance reader, definitely get it because I know you will love it. If you are somebody who's kind of like me and you used to like it but now you're just kind of done with it, this is the book that might restore your faith, because it definitely restored my faith, and I cannot keep raving about it enough. I gave it a 5 stars. It's probably the one of like 2 or 3 romance books that I've ever given 5 stars, and honestly the other 2 I'm now going to reconsider whether they should be 5 stars because of how good this book is and how above those other books it is, because it really is top notch. So I just want to say thank you to NetGalley for an e-art. I think if you're somebody like me, you should definitely read this book, and if you're a romance lover already, you should definitely read this book. So with that, thanks for watching. Very, very short review this time, but I just had to talk about this book on my channel. I actually am kind of annoyed because I already did a video on romance books that I actually do recommend, and I would have loved to have put that in there, but we'll do another one. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay safe. As always, take care, and I'll speak to you soon.